Guys, what's going on, everybody? We got a lot to cover here today. Did Trump taco? He did the ultimate taco, which is good for the world. Is the taco going to last? Let's see. Let's see if the Trump always chickens out is going to last, because there's all night there was still things flying from Iran and from Israel to Lebanon, and evidently that was all a part of the agreement, the 2-week pause. But boy, did the markets act like there was Middle East peace forever. Yes, they did. They acted like Middle East peace forever, never another conflict. Let's send the markets. And that shows you how much money is just pent up waiting to get out there, guys. So how are you today? I hope you are doing absolutely wonderful. The man, the myth, the legend. I wouldn't go that far, man. I wouldn't go that far. But guys, things are looking really good. I am cautiously optimistic, but a lot of caution. I mean, a lot of caution. I think we just have to play these opportunities like they are. Right. We've got to understand what's going on in the macro. We also have to understand how this is different than what has happened in the past on other Trump tacos. And so we're going to get into all that. But guys, enjoy it while it's here. The market looks good. If we go over to the stock market, holy cow, look at this gap up from market close to market open, 3% on the S&P 500. Wow. Full disclosure, I'm short the S&P 500, a pretty good chunk of change. I ended up getting in I got in at 670, and then I got in more at like 677, and it brought my average down to like 674. So that's over on Robinhood, just because of where I have that liquidity at. But guys, I'm over here looking at oil. And, we actually talked about it yesterday in stream, and I can play that clip. But, someone asked about long and oil up here. And I said, the risk reward is to short, because we already know where the high is, right? And so now we're in the same thing, just the opposite, right? We've got this trend line that is held. And this is where I want to talk about this being a different taco than previous tacos, which is the Trump always chicken, which is just what they say, right? I don't actually say that. But before we get into it, guys, I was supposed to say, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. And always do your own research, please. Always. Never listen to a rando on the tube. But if you're over on YouTube, we appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us this wonderful, what is today, Wednesday, Thursday? Golly, when you work from the house, you forget what day it is. Yeah, Wednesday. It's wonderful Wednesday, okay? And if you're over on X, hey, I'm glad you're here. Please retweet the room, retweet the live, and share it with a couple people. So let's get into oil, and let's take a look at oil. Oh, by the way, on the BTC trade, guys, I should have been more on top of it. Like I said, I took my son yesterday. I was kind of being a lazy trader, right? We were in a good amount of profit, like at this point, like $900,000 in profit. I moved the stop loss down to like $200 in profit, but I went and took my son. I never moved it after the stream, so it stopped me out in profit, right? So I made a couple $100. So I just wanted to update you all on that. I definitely should have, if I would have been on it, like paying attention and stuff, then I would have done that. But that's on me. So. Oh, well, but that's why you always manage risk, right? Because I didn't lose any money, still made money. Everything was good, and life is great. So why is this different than anything else that has happened? If we come back here, when is this? If we come back here and look at this one, this was tariffs, right? And so this right here was being caused by one person, right? The president of the United States was putting tariffs on countries. And in fact, most of the tariffs at the time, the very, very high tariff number, had not even taken effect yet. Whereas Now it's a totally different scenario, right? We've got a regional conflict, we can call it, with Hezbollah or whatever they're called in Lebanon and Israel, United States, Iran. But not only that, you have a global oil shortage. We know that 20% of the oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz, right? And the Strait, Iran said they let 2 ships through this morning. They're not letting any more through until Israel stops fighting Hezbollah or whatever they're called. And Trump came out and said, hey, that's not a part of the ceasefire. They said it was a part of it. So this is very, very, very muddy situation, right? You can only imagine, right? But, my thesis on this is that, a short isn't too dangerous here. Like, sure, it could go down and I could get stopped out, I could get stopped out and do a little lower leverage, Sure, I could get stopped out. But there's also people calling for like 150 oil, and so you just never know if this conflict ramps back up, what's going to happen. So I think I'm going to slowly size into a position. No real stop loss, just because I want to size into it. Liquidation 62. I doubt we're going to hit that overnight. That's the price it was before the conflict. But kind of just start sizing in, DCAing into a position. Hopefully this holds, but I do want to open that up on oil right there. And so, and guys, like I said, never financial advice, but this is the stream sponsor of the Finance Freeman live streams. This is Blowfin. I've been using them for about a year. No problems at all. If you're interested, there's a QR code on the screen. There's also a link down below in the YouTube description. You might have to scroll down a little bit. And on X, you could find it as well. And I get a little commission kickback, that kind of thing. But yeah, let's dive into some of it. Oh, also, I think there's 18 slots left. VIP1. You can read on here what it is. This is pinned to my X page, but this is something Blowfin's doing for the Finance Freeman family. For the, what do we got? Yeah, we've got about 6 more days left. But you can see I've got a different coffee cup today. I've got Donald Duck, or one of these ducks, which wouldn't be my top cup of choice, but that's what I got today. It's kind of cute. It is kind of cute. Okay, Iran's public peace plan differs from a version sent to Trump. A White House official says the 10-point proposal plan released publicly is different from the version President Trump called a workable basis for negotiations. Like I said, super muddy, right? Super muddy. Let's go through here and take a look at some stuff going on. Was this Iranian state media reports the passage of oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz has been stopped, right? That's leading to my oil trade. U.S. defense official, U.S. strike on Iranian refinery wasn't conducted by the U.S. or Israel. So then there was something struck a refinery. I mean, it's just very, very cloudy situation when you really take a look at everything. Let's see. With President Trump announcing the suspension of U.S. attacks on Iran for 2 weeks, the big question is, when will prices come down? And this is something that I think has them upset too. If you look, Israel was not formally part of the Iran negotiations and is unhappy that it got word that the deal was finalized. This happened like an hour before, everything was supposed to go south. And I was posting all the communications over on X. So if you don't follow me there, make sure to follow me. I try to post everything there. I honestly think I was the first person that posted about what Trump said, because I was on True Social, and I was sitting there looking at True Social, and but based on conversations with Prime Minister whatever of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent to Iran, and subject to the IRGC agreeing to complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. That has not happened yet, right? I agree to suspend the attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. I also put it somewhere. I don't know if I commented somewhere else, but I made note of it that it said double-sided, meaning I was thinking U.S. and Israel. And so I thought that was a little interesting. But yeah, basically that happened. And then when we get into today, Trump posted this morning on True Social, and I posted it on X. And what was interesting is it was from the 4th, so 4 days ago, right? But if you look at it, he's like, a massive operation awaits Iran if they choose poorly. And it's like, oh, if you were doing good, would you really, be having that kind of conversation? So, oh my, where's oil at right now? Dude, is it really at 94 bucks? Oh, I didn't take it. Oh, look at that, guys. I did a limit. And I was stopped by like a penny. Ah! Okay, I'll wait. Can you connect your Coinbase wallet to Blowfin? Wallet? You have to transfer stuff to Blowfin, right? Like USDT, but so not like directly connecting. It's an exchange, right? It's just like Coinbase or something like that, right? So you would send assets over, and you can see these are paired in, like this is paired in USDT Tether, and they have some that are paired in USDC. The USDT, it's been around a lot longer. Liquidity pools are thicker, that kind of thing. So I use USDT for all my transactions. I use USDC Circle, but for trading on an exchange like this, I use USDT. Let's see here. Here, guys, give me just a second. There's somebody at my door. Okay, just. Sorry about that. My wife had something delivered. Let me let her know. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry. Thanks for sticking with me. Let's go see. Yeah, and so it's just so much mixed signals, Like, okay, here's the peace plan. Let's look at this. This is Fox News too, right? So they're not left-leaning or anything. But take a look at what they said.
That includes 10 separate points. Some of them include the U.S. guaranteeing a non-aggression pact with Iran, continuing Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz, acceptance that Iran can enrich uranium for its nuclear program, removal of all primary sanctions on Iran, removal of secondary sanctions, an end of all UN Security Council resolutions against Iran, an end to the IAEA's resolutions on Iran's nuclear program, compensation payment for Iran and its war damage, withdrawal of U.S. forces from the region, and a ceasefire on all fronts. Those are a number of points that are not going to be reached. And the next.
See, and so that's why it's so muddy, is you can tell there that there's a lot of them that, you know, aren't going to go through, right? Remind me in 1 hour. Guys, I am livid. Look at this. Oh my gosh, dude. So I did this to get the best price, right? I didn't want to do bid offer. I did this. So like it's the last price. That'd already be like a 7% gain. And where this can get tricky, let me tell you, where oil can get tricky is one, it's acting inverse to stocks, or stocks is acting inverse to it. Okay. So if we see this gap close, and there's two gaps, there's one right here, you can see 150. There's one right here. So there's actually three. You can see this one down here, 632 to 637. But there's this big one, right? If this gap closes, that's a 2% move. Not saying it'll close today, even though I did have some like lottery puts for today, that they're either going to hit major because we're going to go down there, or they're going to expire worthless pretty much. But so that's what like a lottery 0 days to expire kind of thing is, like very low money, right? And almost like 100x lev, you know, trade. But not only that, if you look just on Blowfin, there's a ton of people short, right? There's so many people that they only get the news headlines, right? Like they're going to work in the morning. They're not sitting here like you guys and gals listening, doing research during the day. All they know is that last night when they went to bed, there was a ceasefire for 2 weeks, right? So if you take that at face value, you're like, hey, we're shorting the market. You know, we're shorting oil. And you know, it could get dangerous, because what happens if you're short and if you get liquidated, then you have to buy to cover that short, right? And so as that happens, it just you know, it's just buying pressure. So it, like I said, never financial advice. There's no guarantee of anything, but we bounced off this trend line perfectly, and has the potential to not only be a short squeeze, but be a fundamental shortage across the world, right? Which is why I'm hesitant on the pump. But these kind of things are good. What is this? Reject. I don't want your cookies. I want your M&Ms. You know, I think it's really important, as I've said before, to look at what's going on with stuff. Man, shout out to Rodney, man. I have a kid home sick today. Shout out to Rodney. I got a kid home sick. And my wife had to run, so I got my son over here too. And I was going to go on his live stream today, but I have to delay. So shout out to Rodney. Man, kids are always sick. But anyways, what I was saying is look for things that are running when nothing else is running, or even if things are running, that is outrunning them, right? Gaining mind share. I'm not talking about everything pumps 30% and Chrono stays at 32, right? I'm talking about things like ZCASH. You know, you get a little confidence back in the market, and ZCASH goes from 270 to 330, right? That's what I'm talking about. Where's my favorite AI coin? TAO. You know, very similar price action. Is this the same guy posting it? Okay, he posted this. Let's go back to that Zcash one real quick. No, it's a different guy. Let's see. Zach, bullish FOMO in play. I thought I just seen somebody saying down. Okay, let's take a look at ZCASH. And we're going to keep an eye on this. I mean, I could totally get in this. I'm like so stuck in my ways of like buying absolute tops and absolute bottoms that now I'm actually going to move this down. Just because I'm stuck in my ways. Let's look at ZCASH. And you can tell a lot by like market sentiment by looking at things like funding rate, right? It's been a while since we've looked at this chart. Y'all might be able to hear my son. Apologies, but my wife just got in. So, okay, so you can see here's the trend. It's a bullish setup, guys. It's a bullish setup. Look at this. I would love to see it come down and retest that, like if we get a stock sell-off. But that's a bullish setup. And it broke out with volume. You always hear me say with volume. That's what you want to see. Is anybody in ZCASH? It's a 4-hour. Let's look at the daily. Dang, everything about this looks good. ZCASH, this is a perfect example of how just simple technical analysis is so good. Look at this. How many times has RSI been this low? Just a few times has it ever been this low for ZCASH. So look at that right there. If someone had bought right there, would have been right here at this white line. That would have marked the Pico bottom. Look at that. Keep it stupid simple. Don't have to go too much. Right there, then you ride a little wave, and then from there, you can come over and say, hey, you know what? We found a bottom. Let's make a trend line on the RSI. Make sure we don't lose that. Make sure we don't lose steam in the move. Guys, that's what life's about. Oh, man. But you see what I mean? Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Trend lines, RSI, you'd be all right. But we definitely broke out of this bull flag. Which if that holds, let's just go from here. Yeah, a perfect 786 retracement. It's bullish. Bullish ZCASH. Let's look at potential targets for ZCASH. Wow. Full fib extension 2600. More probable, like, 1,000 is going to have a ton of resistance. 770 is going to have a ton of resistance. So, but if you get over this 1.618 level, you could potentially be cooking with hot water. Okay, I see the S&P's going down. Let's change this to a lower time frame. Mark out the high for the day. On like a really low time frame, kind of looks like an inverse head and shoulders, which would take it to 171.5, 175, about 79.80. It definitely could. It definitely could. And I've just been scaling into my position. And so I could double that position on SPXS. Bagpacking season, buy the lows. I agree. And it's kind of hard. Some people, they're just traders. Some people, they're just investors. And there's a big difference in an investor and a trader, right? An investor, somebody like you, pack the bags at the lows. I want to wait. I'm going to wait till the season, the bull run kicks off. I'm going to, enjoy the fruits of my labor in 6, 12, 18, 24 months, right? And then there's the trader who is like, hey, we got a low, or this morning the stock market's overbought. They're bullish on this news that's kind of fugazi, right? And I'm both. I'm both of those, right? But at the end of the day, I'm a trader to be an investor, if you know what I mean. I'm a trader to make money to invest long term, right? And so, but yeah, I think it's important to know who you are, know what you are, and go from there. And then if you want to learn how to trade, well, then start with a little bit. Don't be like, hey, I'm an investor with 50 grand in my crypto bag. You know what? I'm gonna send all that to something to trade, to blow for. No, don't do that. You know what I mean? Send $100. This is what I say with trading, right? Is unless you're trading like little meme coins, right, that have no liquidity, or low liquidity, right? Let's say that. If you're doing that, well, that's one thing. But if you're trading any kind of asset, Bitcoin, stocks, most likely you don't have the money that's going to move that chart, right? Because you wouldn't be watching me, and I don't have the money to move that chart. So if you are, hey, I appreciate you, and I could probably learn something from you. But, and so what I mean by that is there's really no difference in the chart if you do $10 or if you do $20,000, right? And so focus on the percent. Don't focus on the dollar. Okay, the dollar amount not be life changing if you're trading with $100, but the percentages can be. And so if you learn how to trade with $100 and you can turn that to 150 within 3 days, well, guess what? That's no difference than taking 100 grand and turn that to 150 grand or $1 million and turning that to 1.5, whether it's with options, whether it's with perps, whatever it is, right? Focus on the percent. Don't focus on the raw dollar amount. I think that's really a key, right? So many people get stuck on this. I need to take $100, turn into $100,000. And it's like, man, you're going to lose it. Most likely, obviously I'm not a financial advisor, right? You've seen the disclaimer at the top. But yeah, guys, this is Blowfin for anyone that just joined. There's a QR code down there. They're the official stream sponsor of Finance Freeman. Dude, I am sick to my tummy at this. Don't tell me we called the Pico top yesterday and I didn't open it. I was in the BTC trade. I didn't open it. So don't tell me we called the Pico top yesterday and I probably would have done 5 or 10x and I missed out on 100 to 200% gains. And then if we go up here and blast off, guys, and I miss the Pico bottom, I'm going to be upset. But we're going to revisit that. We're going to revisit that. Let me show you anybody that wasn't here yesterday. Shout out to my guy. Awesome clip. I'll show it to you. Tonight's going to be a really big deal. If there's a ceasefire announced in Iran and the strait will be open within 2 days, we could see some wicks to get oil down to 80 something. And you can see this negative funding rate. A lot of people are piled in short right now. Personally, I would short at the top. The reason I do that is because you got an easy stop loss, right? You're like, okay, yeah, just a little bit above it. So if I was to short here at the top, then my max loss is 2%. Versus if it gets back down to, where it was just a few weeks ago, it's 30% gain. That's a very good risk to reward. Tonight's going to be a really big deal. If there's a ceasefire announced in Iran and the strait will be open within 2 days, sorry, guys, I'm muted. This is Deepin. Deepin Connect, I think is his His name is not like a huge account or anything, but huge knowledge. And I'm really not that short, okay? Based on Mike made me look that short and made it look like I was holding his hand. But this was in ETH Denver. We actually went to a Crypto Empress's husband, got us like 5 or 6 tickets to a symphony, okay, where they're like, rah, 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 and there's the people playing all these different instruments, right? And we went to it, right? So I had this trench coat on, looking fancy and stuff. Well, he made this thing, and I'm trying to think, did Base go with us? No, I don't think so. I don't think he went with us. Ben Crypto was with us. But guys, I was sitting there and I was like, I mean, it was I was tired, right? So it was definitely a good meditation. Anyways, so we're going to have him on, and he's very big in the DePIN sector, which I think is kind of the next wave, right? We're starting to see this decentralized compute really be a big thing. And so he's into, I know, like Akash, but he's into a lot of little gems, this gentleman right here. And so he makes a lot of really good content, guys. So we're definitely going to have him on tomorrow. And he's very knowledgeable. Like, I enjoyed it so much, right? Talking to him. Because when we were talking, most people I talked to, they're like, oh yeah, man, we're going to the moon. You know, I'm like, man, what do you think about bonds? And what do you think about, you know, like these technicalities of the market, right? Because like I always say, the markets are interconnected, and you have to know all this stuff, right? He knew all of it, you know. We were able to talk about it. He was able to teach me stuff. You know, it was awesome. So look, we are trying to, on the S&P 500, make a new high. Let's see if there was any news released. Iran fired 42 drones and 4 ballistic missiles at Kuwait. I wonder if I can find a list that is like just news. News, world news, US news, global news. I need all signal, no noise. Let me look. Who is in it? Okay, so there are no individuals. This is all official stuff. They've got US based. They have Middle Eastern news. This might be good, guys. If you use X like I do for knowledge, don't get me wrong. I crap post sometimes, and I go around having fun, and you know, just like everybody else. But you know, I use it as a part of my work, right? It's part of my job, and getting lists is really a game changer, right? It kind of cuts out the noise, right? I'm not scrolling through this and then scrolling past somebody telling me XRP is going to $10,000. You know, it's all signal, right? Iran guard threat and response if Lebanon says Israel PM says U.S. Iran truce not end of campaign. Trump will continue to discuss Lebanon with Israel's Netanyahu. The VP will go to Pakistan for Iran talk. Man, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea. Sending the Vice President of the United States to Pakistan to do a talk, to talk to Iran.
On NATO, and I will share it with all of you. They were tested and they failed. And I would add, it's quite sad that NATO effectuated and abided by all parties as quick.
Let's listen to some of this. This is the White House press secretary. Oh, what up, girl? Not you, this one. Look at this guy almost tripped. She's like, oh, what's Freeman texting me about? Who's she talking to? What, did they just start their live stream 30 minutes early? They don't even have a cool like banner like me. Holy cow.
Passed to protect for her effortful role in getting.
Okay. Let me do this section.
Everybody. Good to see all of you here.
Let's stream this directly from the White House just to make sure I'm doing everything by the book.
Visible capabilities, explicit image.
Because this is what are moving markets right now, believe it or not.
For her efforts, and we hope that others will report on this historic conviction yesterday. With respect to the 2-week ceasefire announced by President Trump last night, this is a victory for the United States of America that the president and our incredible military made happen. From the very beginning of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump stated this would be a 4 to 6 week military operation to dismantle the military threat posed by the radical Islamic Iranian regime. Thanks to the unbelievable capabilities of America's war fighters, the United States has achieved and exceeded those core military objectives in just 38 days. The U.S. military destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, crushing the regime's ability to manufacture weapons that they and their proxies use to maim and kill Americans and terrorize the world. Iran's ability to build and stockpile ballistic missiles and long-range drones has also been set back by years compared to where it was 6 weeks ago prior to the launch of Operation Epic Fury. We destroyed the vast majority of Iran's ballistic missiles, launcher vehicles, and long-range attack drones through more than 450 strikes on ballistic missiles and approximately 800 strikes on Iran's drone launching units and storage facilities. In total, more than 13,000 targets across Iran were struck. Again, this is in the matter of just 38 days. Meanwhile, the Iranian Navy was completely annihilated. The United States destroyed more than 150 naval vessels for diplomatic solution.
I want to get to the question.
Over the course of the next 2 weeks. Iranians who and the questions about
previously said death to America, but why
reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Caroline, the president yesterday threatened that a whole civilization would die if a ceasefire deal wasn't reached, understanding that Iranian leaders have previously said death to America. But why is it appropriate for the president of the United States to use that kind of language when talking about civilian targets? And was the president mocking Islam by signing off his True Social post over the weekend, praise be to Allah, when that antagonized Muslim allies across the world?
Well, I understand the questions about the president's rhetoric, but what the president cares most about is results. And in fact, his very tough rhetoric and his tough negotiating style is what has led to the result that you are all witnessing today. Iran publicly acknowledging last night that they have agreed or that they wanted this ceasefire with the United States because they no longer could tolerate being bombed by our very powerful and lethal military, and that they have committed to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which the president will hold them accountable for. And it's something the administration is closely monitoring in real time. Danny.
Should the world not take his word seriously?
The world should take his word very seriously in understanding that the president is always most interested in results. And it was the Iranians who backed down, not President Trump. He said that they would face very grave consequences, as you just laid out, by the 8 p.m. deadline if they did not agree to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. And what did they do last night? They agreed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Would President Trump like to see Lebanon included in this peace deal? As you know, there have been increased Israeli strikes on Lebanon today with dozens of casualties there.
Sure. Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire. That has been relayed to all parties involved in the ceasefire. As you know, Prime Minister Netanyahu put out a statement last night in support of the ceasefire, in support of the United States' efforts, and he's also assured the president they'll continue to be a helpful partner throughout the course of the next 2 weeks.
Is there any thought, though, that the president might like to see Lebanon included in a future date, given that it seems to be causing or potentially undermining the Iran ceasefire?
Again, this will continue to be discussed, I am sure, between the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu.
I don't know, guys. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that's going to stick? The ceasefire? It's just not something that I necessarily think is going to stick. So the ceasefire agreements between Trump and Trump. It's really, really amazing how one tweet can do it. So let's see this. I want to go find this guy's post. CM Shea. I want to show y'all something. Guys, y'all aren't going to believe this. Okay. Let's see. Golly, this dude posting more than me. I don't think this is the one. Did he delete it? Oh my gosh, did he delete it? Guys, this post right here was edited. If you go back and look, and let's see if somebody dropped it in the comments. If you go back and look, if someone could find this post, you can go on it and, or not this post, it's the one asking them to do it, okay? The one asking them to do it. If you go to it, it says at top, it says like ceasefire 4x Prime Minister Pakistan. Like somebody sent it to him to post, and he posted it like that. Then he went and edited it, deleted that line. But you can actually track edits on X, which I didn't know. You can, if there's edits, yeah, you can go to view post activity and see if there's been edits and things like that about it. And so what he's saying here is that the Iran-U.S. ceasefire terms are clear and explicit, like an X post makes it official, right? Terms are clear and explicit. The U.S. must choose ceasefire or continued war via Israel. Wow, when was this? 30 minutes ago. The world sees the massacres in Lebanon. The ball is in the U.S. court. The world is watching whether it will act on its commitments. With great, I am pleased to announce that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, along with their allies, have agreed to immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon. I mean, guys, but things just were flying the whole time. Pakistan has changed forever. Let's see. Iran attacked UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Israel since the ceasefire began. Like, how do they have anything to stand on? Like, I don't know. They're definitely like winning the part of global unrest, right? Guys, I'm telling you, I'm going to be sick to my stomach if we miss this. Should I just go ahead and do it? Let me know if I should just go ahead and get it and eat $1 for being a dummy. I mean, I guess I'm just sizing in, right? So if I look 93, 94, let me get rid of that. If I go 93... 94. I'm slower than that now. still 63 liquidation, right? Like we're not going to hit that today, I don't think. 94.12. And like I was saying earlier, I'm planning on DCAing this. So there we go. Okay. Put a take profit on the bodies of those 3 right there. That should be good. At least for now. Why isn't oil going up despite missiles flying? One's crude, one's West Texas Intermediate. Do they have WTI on here? No. Okay, you're looking somewhere else. Yeah, and then there's Brent crude. There's different types of oil. Different blends or whatever. Like there's natural gas. Copper. Yeah, Blowfin has all kinds of stuff, man. And whenever I ask them to add, what was it? We were talking about it at $60. Circle. I asked them to add it. And you could see where they added it. Ask them to add it back here. They added it. And it went down to 56. Boom. Boom. Did over a 2x. I absolutely love that. And guys, I keep y'all updated on everything here. But if anyone's ever interested in joining my Discord, I do have one with a good group of people. It's a small knit group. I think we got like 70 folks right now at this stage of the bear market, but they're all solid. I absolutely love them. I'm in there every morning. Good night. Good morning. I send video update every morning to them. And yeah, that's where like a lot of direct combo happens. But how do you drink Pepsi? Yeah, I have it on my phone. Yeah. Yeah, and they secure their stuff by fire blocks, which is really cool. Which is like a security type. You know, a lot of big institutions use fire blocks. And they've got audits and things like that. So if you look at that ceasefire I showed you earlier, it says that the uranium is not a part of the deal, right?
They will either give it to us, which the president has laid out. They'll give it to us voluntarily. We'll get it. We'll take it out. Or if we have to do something else ourselves, like we did Midnight Hammer or something like that, we reserve that opportunity. But what's clear, what the new Iranian regime knows, is they'll never have a nuclear weapon or the capability to get a path.
I mean, again, guys, I don't try to be a bear. Like I'm really, really bullish on the market anyways. But yeah, like this person, Bitcoin going up. Should we be buying now? You're supposed to buy before it goes up, brother. But I'm just really cautious on everything. Like, you know, oil going up most likely means stocks going down. All right. Oil going down most likely means stocks going up. If you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin trades like the NASDAQ, which is the tech stocks. Okay. So you could like overlay these charts, right? Now we got this huge gap up for the Qs up here. Kind of crazy. The Qs are only 5% away from all-time high. S&P is currently 3% away from all-time high. So if you're chasing volatility, the Qs are a little better, and they've got that on Blowfin also, but it's a little better because it's all tech stocks, right? And so tech's more volatile, right? Versus S&P is like 520 or something of the largest United States stocks. You can see 97.8% US stocks, 2.27% of European stocks. So SPY is just a cheaper version of the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is like 10 times this, right? So if you want to do options of that, it'd cost you 10 times as much. Or if you want to buy a share, it'd cost you 10 times as much. So it's just like its little brother kind of. But this is what I trade. This and QQQ, which is basically the same thing, tracks the NASDAQ. This is Rodney, who I was talking about earlier. Shout out to Rodney. He's live right now, but I got my son home, and so I'm gonna join next week. Long and oil. How did he do that? What is this? Some kind of contract? I'm not familiar with that. Squadron of U.S. tankers have taken off from Israel. Guys, that's what I mean. It's just, there's so much uncertainty, you know, even more now, which the markets don't always make sense, right? The markets don't always make sense. Last Friday, I thought we were going to capitulate. Oil had went from 90 to 115, and stocks were stagnant, right? And they were just trying to hold on. It looks like oil is hanging in there. It's at 90 something, but it can only hang on for so long, in my personal opinion, because of the fact that, you know, the cause, the damage that is done when there is high oil, the shortages around the world, that's going to start showing up in inflation reports like this Friday. This Thursday and Friday, we have CPI data coming out, right? That should have a lot of this high oil prices in it. Earning reports are going to have that, right? And so but Wall Street's definitely trying to push it, you know. But if you look overall, we're fairly low volume. If you just look and say, this is about average volume, right? You know, it's kind of hard to tell, right? But if you just kind of look, average volume, you could say is like that, all right? Look how much lower we are on the volume profile. You see? Like just relative to where we were at the all-time high, right? There's definitely less buyers stepping in. You see how high this volume was during Liberation Day and how low it is here. Let me take that off. Let's see. Let's look at volume delta. So you can see more buying today. You can see the days there's more selling. It's kind of cool to see a delta, but it doesn't really tell you the overall volume. But yeah, we're definitely in a decline of volume across the board. Guys, should I wait it down here? No, I'm not too worried about it. I just DCA, like I was saying. That's why I only did 25% of the bag. I'm really surprised we're holding up this good, though. There's a post from ABC that the U.S. might work with Iran. I've seen that. Like they're going to have a partnership for taking tolls for the Strait of Hormuz. And I heard they got to pay in Trump coin. And so it's like, no, I'm just joking. But there was rumors that it's going to be BTC. I know, it's crazy. I know, it's crazy. Something that was funny earlier is that they came out trying to say Adam Back is Satoshi. No, not Adam 22. So this New York Times article came out saying that Adam Back is Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, I've done a lot of research into this, and I do not think Adam Back is Satoshi Nakamoto. One reason is not because he's all over the Epstein files, it's because of Blockstream and his opinion on where Bitcoin should go. If you look at the Bitcoin white paper, it says a peer-to-peer digital cash system. And he has basically limited that to where it can't be that. He was a part of the small blockers and the big block, little block wars. And that's why, you know, Bitcoin is not used like Satoshi wanted as a peer-to-peer digital cash today, right? And my personal opinion, I could be wrong, is that they did this in order to force revenue to go to a layer 2 solution, right? Because there's fees from that and things like that. You know, some people think Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto. Other people think it's the CIA. So let me know. Who do you think is Satoshi Nakamoto? I would like to know. But he came out and said, I'm not Satoshi, which is probably what Satoshi would say, obviously. But yeah, I don't think he's Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't. If he is, then I think he sold it out and did a huge disservice. The mystery of Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous inventor of Bitcoin, has remained unsolved. Style mimicry is interesting, but not proof. There's things like, you know, there was European English, okay, not American English terms used in the white paper, double spaces used in the white paper, and Adam does all that. If you look at Adam's papers, which Adam might have, you know, wrote the white paper. He was there extremely early, but I think it was a group of individuals. Style mimicry is interesting, but not proof. The contemporaneous emails between Satoshi and Adam Back suggest they were distinct individuals. Until someone signs with Satoshi's keys, every theory is just a narrative. Yeah, but also if you wanted to try to hide who it was, then you would, you know, make fake emails, you know, send email to one account to another account. Oh, look, it's not me. But then again, they didn't know it was going to be anything back then, right? And so you think BTC can drop to 50 this year? Thanks. Let's take a look. Let's go to the USDT pair. Take this off. Let's clear that. Okay. Do you think BTC can drop to 50K this year? Let's take a look. Over here on Blowfin, we will look at the chart. And first, I want to line up a couple things for you. I want to first show you the fibs from the low of last cycle, around 15K. If we pull up the fibs from last cycle, you can see where they reside, okay? We have the 382 level, the 0.5 level, the 618 level, which we have hit pretty closely. Then you have the 786 level back here. If you go back and look previous cycles, we have always hit the 786 level. And a couple times we've actually went past that 886 fib level. Now, this is common when an asset is younger, right, to have a deeper retrace. But still, it's still totally possible. Let me come up here and type in moving average. Oh, you know what? It's not gonna have it because there's not enough data points right there. But then if we take a look at the simple moving average, it's currently sitting at about 57K, 58K, and we haven't hit that yet. We almost hit it, but we didn't hit it. I actually had an order that we were an order to purchase a Bitcoin, and it didn't hit it. I was front ran. Right. But so those are the macro takes on, you know, where Bitcoin could go. The 786 fib level, if we take a look, like I said, is right here at this 40K level. Right. And so let's put a line right there. And then let's put a line right here at the 618. And so we know with the 618, what do we have? We want to look for things that work together, right? How many data points can we get? So at this 57K level, we have a couple things going for us. We have all of this support and resistance, all of this structure back here from last cycle, okay? We also have the 200-week simple moving average, and we have the 618 fib level, okay? So that's a few points. Down here, we have the 786 fib level. We have this support right here at 40. But now let's zoom in and look at a little more of a technical pattern. So if we come over here, we can see that we had a bear flag forming right here, okay? And we broke underneath it. We fought it a couple days, but we never broke above it. And if we take that down, we can see that that broke down to approximately 62K. If we come back up here and we take the measurement from the very top, you can see that broke down to about 58K, where the 200-week simple moving average is, right? So it was right in between those. So that was a good data point for us. If you look at where we are now, we're kind of forming the same pattern, right? And this is how I've had it drawn for a while now. And so if you look, we broke underneath it a little bit, very similar to how we did here, because that's where we got back in it. And so that's why I don't have a position on BTC right now, because we're just right here in the middle of the trend, right? We haven't had a confirmed breakdown. We haven't had a confirmed break up. If we come over here and we treat that the same, which often happens in these cycles, and we take this measurement right here of what they consider the flagpole, you're going to hear that called a flagpole in technical analysis. And remember, I base everything I do off of technical analysis. And let's say it broke down right here. It's at the breakout point, right? So the longer this goes on, the least the drop will be. But let's say it broke out in the next few days, okay? That would be a point of 46.1, okay? And so let's put that there. So in yellow, we have the fib levels. In orange, we have the bear flag breakdown. So let's make all of this orange. Let's delete this one. And so now we know orange is the bear flag target. We just removed the line so it's not ugly. And yellow is the fib levels. And so now when we come over here, now I want to look for other points of data, other, structural stuff. And so if we look at this line, it comes right back to this level over here. And so if I was wanting to open up a long position, I would want to do so somewhere in this structure. And the reason I went above it right here is because if we look right here, we have a point that shouldn't be ignored either. We have this right here, which was resistance at that time. And it was also support back here on this wick. So it's just a couple points, but nonetheless, it is points. And so my target for DCAing into my bag of BTC will start at 50K. Probably I'll actually move that up a little bit, like 50.7, 51. I may even come up. I don't want to get too greedy. Might even come up to 53, 54, all the way down to about 40. Now, I try to find Pico bottom, right? Everyone has to know who they are, what they are, what's their strategy, what's their plan. And when you know that, then it helps you make a decision, right? I'm a trader and an investor, right? All the Bitcoin I buy back here, I'm not hodling it forever. Now, am I going to hodl it for some time? Yeah. But I'm going to sell some and I'm going to keep some, right? If I buy it back here, say I buy at 40K, okay, I will probably sell a third of it around 100, 120. And then the rest of my bag that I got's for free, essentially, right? And so that's kind of my strategy. But if you're someone that's going to buy and hodl for 10 years, then heck, even all-time high probably wasn't that bad of a price. But let me know, what target are you looking for currently? And guys, excuse me, but we have a sell-off on the S&P. My short that I'll show you right here just shot up from 35.82 to 38.24. I'm trying to figure out what moved this. I've got a decent amount of money in here. You can see I'm a little down right now. I DCA'd into this. Average price 36.49 and mark price is, you can see 36. And I currently have 1,500 shares of that. And I'll tell you what that comes out to in just a second. So if I look, this is a 36, what did I say, 49, 1,500 shares. So it's currently about 55K. And this is triple inverse leveraged S&P 500. So it's controlling approximately 165K worth of S&P to the downside. Now, having 1,500 shares means every dollar this goes up, I make 1,500 bucks. But every dollar it goes down, I'll lose 1,500 bucks. Okay. And so it's a powerful tool. You gotta be careful. I bought yesterday. So I've been trading this, guys. Y'all know I traded the same thing for the Qs. Okay, SQQQ. Then they have TQQQ on the long side. That's what I'm planning on buying heavy whenever I think we bottom, TQQQ. Because I'm bullish on tech. I'm bullish on America, things like that. But something like this, when you're short, you got to be very careful. All right, so this going up means the market's going down. It's literally a triple inverse of this. And so when I bought yesterday, I seen this drop, or what would have been a pump, right? I seen this pump, and this is all in after hours, and you can't see after hours here. But I originally bought at 75. Okay. I like 75, or it might have been 73. I bought somewhere like here. And the cool thing about this is I can buy it 24 hours a day, 5 hours a week or 5 days a week, 24/5. Okay. It ends at like 7 p.m. on Friday. And so I don't like to hold anything over the weekend that's levered that I can't trade over the weekend because of, a tweet sending stuff crazily. But so I did that, right? And then this morning, like literally a minute before market open, I bought more. And you can see it opened up at like 678. And so I bought more and that cut my average down. And so, yeah, you can see my average is currently 36.49. But if you look over here, let me see. I'm not used to using this. You can see where the price action was. Like, I mean, I was trading it up here, right? I was short up here. Now I got out, right? I've done good this bad time, you can say. And that's what I always like to say, guys. You got to be careful. But tools like this on Blowfin or any of these mediums, it really changed my life because trading is a big part of my life. Investing is a big part of my life. When I learned how to make money when the market was going down, it really changed everything for me. I used to sit around and just wait for green candles and refresh and watch my bags be down all the time. But if Kaspa dropped another 25%, if my Bittensor TAO dropped 25%, but I'm also essentially hedged in the stock market and I'm able to make money going down, or if I'm short something, if I have a spot position, but I'm also short on, leverage, or I'm just trading, like I said, it's dangerous. It's powerful. I mean, that's really the best word. And like I said, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I'll ever say is financial advice. I just try to share what I'm doing. Look at that. Naked overlay. Naked overlay. Pretty cool. That's what it looks like behind the scenes. But, you can see the lows of the S&P 500 had this thing at 45 bucks nearly, and so you can see how powerful it is. Like, this is just the recent lows. What if we pass up those lows? Now this isn't something I hold for that long. Okay. So this is really a better chart since this chart shows 24/7. So whenever it took off yesterday, let me see. Why can't I move that dang thing? It dropped here. And this is where I originally got in. Right over here around this bottom. I was instantly up some, like 500 bucks. And I held through the night, held through the night, held through the night. And I DCA'd right here. You could see that 730. So I DCA'd at like 759, 758. Okay. And so that essentially cut my average by a chunk, right? And you could see where my average is now because I bought some earlier and then I sold some and stuff like that. Just trying to play around with my average, preserve capital because I want to get some more options. I'm playing around with options more. But two, if we dip lower, I want to be able to DCA into it. I want to be able to cut this average. So, but what's going on? Why did this happen? Because it was going down. So let's come over here and see how oil is doing. We'd be up a couple $100 if I'd gotten in earlier when I wanted to at the beginning of the stream. But yeah, oil's going up. So I like this trend line here. Touch point, all through this touch point, touch point, touch point, touch point. Don't be afraid to go through a little fake outs when you're making your trend line. The most important thing is you get as many touch points as possible. Let's see. Selling off a little bit. Let's see if it holds this, and then let's come see if there's any news. And yeah, I've got my IRAs on Robinhood, and I really like Robinhood for like a one. I mean, Hood I think is a good stock, one that I want to acquire. But also, I just really like the platform. I think it's my generation's Charles Schwab. Oh, that's bookmarks. I was about to say, why is it 2 hours ago? Let's try this world news one. Iran says Lebanon must be included in the ceasefire. Trump's been told reports around Strait of Hormuz closure are false. What? I mean, it's either true or it's not. Oh, a British zoo welcomed a baby Bactrian camel named Sophia. The new calf brings Whipsnade zoo herd camels to 8. What is this? Like, who cares? Why are they posting this? Is this like a super rare camel or something? Guys, talk about the everything stream. I sit here, I can talk about being levered up to my eyeballs. I can talk about a camel. Talk about oil. I like animals like this. They're cool. Look at this dude. This would be a good pick. Let's see. That's funny, huh? I like that pick. Okay. Enough with the camel. Don't break my heart. Yeah. Yeah, I must have got in like up here last night or like right here. Because I bought up here, I bought down here, and then I sold some earlier at a 50-cent profit. But like I said, it's just moving my average around. 50-cent per share profit, right? But I want to see, is the markets giving us some indications? Let's pull RSI up here and look for a divergence. Not really. So a divergence is where you have, say you had price going down, but RSI going up. That would be a bullish divergence. A bearish divergence is where price is going up, but RSI is going down, showing the strength of the movement's weakening. Now, I don't typically like to see low volume. Like, look at this. All through this last week, there's been so much money on the sidelines. Look how much higher volume was back here, right? And I'm really being nice doing that. Like, I would say average, at least if you took off the tip of this, I mean, average is like way down here, like midpoint. So there's just so many people on the sidelines. And if the sellers step in, the buyers aren't there right now. So if the sellers step in, dude, and what are these tools? Like technicals buy. Like, okay, maybe we go higher, but you're 3% from all-time high. I look at these things and things are completely bottomed and it has sell. And I'm like, whatever they use for this data, they're bad. But again, we're on the hourly. Let's look at the RSI. What happens most of the time when RSI gets this high? Most of the time. 690 ended up going to 650. Oop, RSI got high here. What did it do? 690 to 680. Okay. Right here, it went down, it came up, Let's look at the 4-hour. So broke out of that little trend line. You could see this point acts as a resistance sometimes. This is the tip, 70. This 70 to 30 is what they consider normal RSI. 70 being the top of normal, 30 being the low of normal. And then anything up here is considered overbought, and anything under here is considered oversold. And you know what, guys? I am very mad at myself because I'm somebody that always says, hey, it's in the chart. The news does not matter. It's always in the chart. And I even got taken yesterday because I was like, hey, this is going to be bad, and it wasn't. And you've got to understand what technical analysis is, what charts is, especially on something like the S&P 500, right? It's the worldwide collective thoughts of what's going on in the market, right? You've got people buying because they think it's going to be good. You got people selling because they think it's going to be bad. Okay, so it's the world collection, right? And I even seen this and chose to ignore it. Right here. Reverse head and shoulders. And so if we wanted to take this from a technical perspective and take this to the breakout point, that would take us to about 686, which would be like right here. Now, we don't have to go there, obviously. And I like to measure my head and shoulders kind of based off, one, there's a gap here, but kind of rounded. And guys, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to do it, but you see how this kind of looks like that's the natural progression because we came down here and then we wicked up. So, and here's your neckline. And so if we take a measurement from there, let me straighten it up. Take that to the breakout point. That gets us to this level right here. Let me change that color, which is 682, 683. Right? And so if we push up to that and reject, and that would also build out kind of a larger head and shoulders. Which would have a target of basically my green. Yeah, 611 on the SPY. And so this is where, looking for things like, maybe a 3x short, right? Like something on Blowfin, or looking for, a 620, 630 put option for 3 months out. That's pretty cheap right now, right? Things like that. But guys, it's always in the chart. Like I missed it yesterday. You know, I'm not perfect. I definitely missed it. I seen this on the chart and I chose to ignore it, thinking that, you know, this time was different, right? The truth is this time is not different. But this would be a mega short type situation. So when would I cut my loss on this guy? You know, I don't know. If I think we're going to go up to this other level, you know, I'll take a $500,000 loss on the trade. You know, we came up here to this level. This has been resistance. Let's say 667. If we get a pop up and a retest, and then it looks like we start going, I cut right there. Potentially. You know, now it's only $3 away. So it's tricky, right? Because that's only, you know, I probably wouldn't cut this, honestly. I would probably just double my bag right here. And then also buy some 3-month put options. For like probably a 330 target, and then hope it gets in the money and goes to the green box down here. And this is where I would unload long capital for like SQQ or TQQQ and things like that. But I'm just looking for confluence. I'm looking for, you know, everyone always says, man, Bitcoin did amazing. If Bitcoin didn't drop under 60 with all of that going on, then what's going to make it drop under 60? And I agree. It looks great, but it's not going to operate on its own. The reason it didn't drop under 60 is because the Qs didn't drop. You know? Like if this was to gap up, like let's take a look at this chart. Yeah, we're pretty close, 611. You know, I've been saying this for a long time. Like it was a rounded top. I went all cash back here. In terms of stocks, 401k, not crypto, but you know, if we came up, hit this trend line, 616 to 610, and honestly, I like trading the Qs more than the S&P 500, just because it's more volatile, and I'm a degenerate, and so, you know. But I've got this rolling top target is down here at 550, and we got pretty close, 555. And so, you know, it's something to think about too, that in Elliott wave structure, you know, if this had been down a corrective B, a C, right? It could be like that, right? But however, it's always like a spring, like I talk about. And so the further this goes down, the higher this goes. Okay. If this goes up here, the larger this is. Okay. Which is what I talk about, right? Like if we say, okay, here's the high up here, here's the low right here, what's potential targets, right? So let's just look at this level right here, the 1.272. It's 716, right? Say I pull this down, meaning it drops even further. You see how that went up to 720? And so that's how this technical analysis works. Yeah, I mean, anywhere between 600 and 610. But like I said, the reason I've been spending so much time on this is because Bitcoin follows it. Okay, Bitcoin trades currently like a tech stock. One day, I hope it gets away. I hope it breaks away from that. But right now, the only reason BTC didn't go under 60 is because the Qs held up. If we come over here and look at the NASDAQ, if the NASDAQ was at, you know, 540 right now, Bitcoin would not be above 60, in my opinion. Okay. And so we've got to look at everything macro wise. We have to look at oil and see how oil's looking. Shame on me for not putting a stop loss, because I try to, even though I'm not too worried about this, I always like to show good practice and stuff like that. So there's a stop loss. There's the take profit on the trade. And if this gets into profit, I will move the stop loss up into profit, right? That's how I operate. I'm going to keep a look at the macro right now. Oil is driving everything, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely everything. And so that's what we got to keep an eye on. Who is this dude? Speaker? Oh, God. Okay. All right. Iranian. All right. Let's read this. Iranians' statement on the broken ceasefire. Statement of violation of 3 key clauses of the 10-point proposal. Maybe this is why the market was moving earlier. The deep historical distrust we hold towards the United States stems from its repeated violations of all forms of commitments, a pattern that has regrettably been repeated once again. Man, I bet you Trump's like, man, send them B2s. Don't even refuel them. Send them. Send them. As the President of the United States has clearly stated in his Truth, the Islamic Republic of Iran's 10-point proposal is a workable basis on which to negotiate. In the main framework for these talks, however, 3 clauses of this proposal has been violated so far. Non-compliance with the first clause of the 10-point plan regarding the ceasefire in Lebanon, a commitment that the Prime Minister has also explicitly referred to and declared as an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon. Number 2, the entry of an intruding drone into Iranian airspace, which was destroyed in the city of Lar in Fars province, in clear violation. Denial of Iranians' right to enrich, which was included in the 6th clause. Guys, this ceasefire ain't going nowhere. Oh my gosh. Man, I need to call my bank. How much can I mortgage my house? I'm gonna back the truck up and short this thing. Dude, denial of Iranians' right to enrich. If this ends with them being able to enrich and keeping the uranium, why did the United States go there? Why? You know, someone would have to answer some questions, guys. You know, and that's what frustrates me. What's frustrating me about the president is we had the Trump coin and Melania coin that really rubbed me the wrong way. Okay. And it's drained liquidity. That's why we've been in a trench bear market for over a year now. Okay. And then this, and I have people tell me, you know, oh man, you got TDS, that Trump derangement syndrome or whatever. Dude, I was MAGA before any of these people were MAGA. Okay. I actually made a post earlier. I actually deleted it because I don't like to get political. But on June 15th, 2025, I was watching the news. I was watching the news. And I seen a guy come down on an escalator. And he said, you know, I'm not a politician. We've been in the Middle East for 20 years. Okay. I was 6 years old when 9/11 happened. Okay. When 9/11 happened, I remember, you know, feeling a form of unity, even though I didn't understand what it was necessarily. I remember everyone getting dragged out of school, right? I remember everyone getting dragged out of school early. And I didn't understand what was going on. But then, you know, I'm 31 now. So for 20 years of my life, we were stuck in the Middle East. And so I seen this guy come down this escalator that I'd seen on The Apprentice, and I'd seen him on all these shows and knew he was a businessman. And he talked about, no new wars in the Middle East. He didn't talk like a politician, right? He talked like me and my buddies would in the locker room. Whether you like that or not, he was honest, right? I feel like I talked to a politician, they're lying to me, even if they're not. He talked about securing the borders and legal immigration. My wife and I, when we got married, we met here in the States. She went back to Russia. We went through a 2-year process to bring her back over when I was 18. We've done it the hard way. It's not the easy way. The easy way would have been for staying here illegally. But, I feel like checks and balances are good. I'm all for legal immigration, right? He spoke to me, right? And I bought his merch that day, even though I had no money back then. Okay, I was going to college. And, and he talked about paying off the national debt, which was a really big thing to me because our national debt's done an 8x in the time that I've been alive. And that debt's going to be paid off or we're going to default. Neither of them good. Either we're going to be taxed very heavily or we're going to default and the US dollar is going to lose its dominance, And so then what happened is, obviously he was elected, but he was very inexperienced the first time. I could only imagine, right? Had wrong people on the team, things like that. Then I seen, who our options were this time. And I voted heavily because of crypto. I knew that Gary Gensler and the SEC under President Biden was anti-crypto. I'm very passionate about crypto. Not meme coins, not this, but about the freedom aspect of it, about, getting away from the big banks, taking your freedom back. And, and he adopted with crypto. And I still think that's a positive. I still think getting the Genius Act cleared and getting the Clarity Act cleared is a positive. But, right before he took office, the Trump coin came out. And everybody thought it was cool at first, right? And then Melania came out. And then, fast forward a year and a half later at this point, you see the damage that did, and you see his kids get on talking about how much money they've made off crypto. And it's like, guys, that money didn't come from anywhere. Like, it came from your supporters. And so that, and then we're in this conflict in the Middle East, right? And I'm sitting here looking at my dad who just retired, who's worried about his retirement going down, right? Just retired at 59 years old, praise God, was able to retire. Worried about his retirement. I'm full-time content creator, crypto, business is good, but things could go south, right? I see our economy currently that we're, already not creating jobs. And then on top of that, what the Fed would normally do is come in and cut interest rates. But now oil's up, right? And for what reason, right? And then I look at it and then we see things like this, like that they said that they're going to be able to enrich and stuff. And so, I don't know. I don't try to get too political, but it's just upset me because I don't, we've got enough problems here at home. You know what I mean? I've talked a lot about my son, nonverbal, very expensive to care for his medical care and stuff. I've never got $1 from anybody, the government, none of that, food stamp, nothing. Okay. And I don't mind giving anybody a hand up. Okay. If you're down in life, I'll give you a hand up. I don't want to give a lifetime handout. Right. And, I see how expensive it is. Then I see all these handouts going to people that shouldn't be getting it. And I see, all this money being spent overseas, and not that I want that money. I don't. Like, I'm fine. I'll take care of my family. I'm a man. I'll handle all that on my own. But, let's pay off our national debt. We're at $40 trillion almost. That's over an 8x from the time I was born. What's it going to be when my sons are 21? I know when I bought a house 6 years ago, okay, I'm in a fairly cheap place. I paid $188,000 for it. It's now worth $250,000. It's not because the house went up. It's because the value of the dollar went down, right? So what's going to happen when my kids are 21, 25? And then I really worry about the cost of living also when you look at babies, like people having kids and stuff. I go to these crypto events, guys, and I'm like the only person with kids. None of these people have kids. nothing against them, but I get it. It's hard. It's expensive, and then, they're obviously going to want to raise taxes in order to spend it on whatever. And our national debt's just going to continue to balloon up. And so I don't know. I just want to see us, America be, good and respected and take care of the people. And we definitely got a lot of divide, in the country. After 9/11, it was some unity, but we don't have that right now. And if you kind of look historically at empires, whatever you want to call them, around this time frame, America's young. 1776 is when, our birthday, coming up on 250 years this July. That's about the time, they start having problems, right? You get too big headed. You think you're invincible. You start spending money like no other. And so the things really helping us right now are that all the other countries around the world are worse. Like they print more money, they, fiscally worse. And then also the petrodollar, which is something that I think a lot of this stuff going behind the scenes is a means to protect. Because if all the money for oil around the world was not transacted in US dollars, my belief is that we wouldn't be able to, we'd default on the debt. Like there wouldn't be the demand for treasuries and things like that. So here we are sitting, spending a lot of money overseas. Oil's going up, which is going to make inflation go up. Inflation going up is going to make the Fed not be able to cut interest rates. If they cut interest rates anyways, which they might, that's not good because inflation is just going to go up even more and you're going to be paying $100 for a steak in a couple years, and I just want to focus on home, focus on that, guys. So yeah, I don't mean to get political, right? But like I said, I voted based off of crypto and that rubbed me wrong a little bit, but not enough to make me kind of change my opinion. But this one's a little more. So I just hope it plays out well. But if this third point right here gets approved, then what did we just do for the last month? Why did we put people through this? Why did we put people through this? The layoffs, I'm a product of a layoff. I was laid off, even though I wanted it. I was laid off. They were at my job. They were doing layoffs and I wasn't going to be picked. I was a fairly high performer, maybe not the best, but I was good at my job and I enjoyed it. But I was ready to make the jump into full-time content creation, full-time investor. I'd saved up. I'd made the right decisions and stuff. My wife and I both worked full-time. I worked and was able to make money on the business where she was able to go part-time. And then I worked, saved money and stuff where she was able to go full-time stay-at-home mom. And then I worked to the point I was ready to make the jump too, right? So it was a process. And so I raised my hand and got a severance package, and I'm very thankful for that. But, I just want to focus on, the United States, kind of, so Freeman for president, 2028. Let's do it. Nah, I think you got to be 35, right? I'm pretty sure you got to be 35. I wouldn't want that anyways. My focus now is just trying to make enough money, ethically, legally, and obviously, where my son never has to worry about anything. The one that, well, both of them, but the one that's nonverbal and everything, can't talk. And then, maybe buy some land on some acreage and be able to eat clean food, have crops and stuff like that. Maybe a couple animals, maybe a horse. He loves animals. And then build him like a little house, maybe 50 yards away, where maybe he can live there for his life and have privacy. But, we're obviously able to look after him and stuff. And so, that's my priorities. That's what I vote for. And not, things that potentially take away from that, So thanks for coming to my TED Talk, guys. I hope I didn't offend anybody. If I did offend you, then just remember we all have our own rights. And, you know, I would love to hear your opinion on things. But Iran president discussed ceasefire in Middle East with France's Macron. Why? Why? Like they're not even a part of it. See, we've got so much competing narratives now, right? We just seen that post that I posted a minute ago saying 3 things the United States violate. One of them being uranium, the other one being Lebanon, right? And they're saying that that is false. Let's listen.
The president's red lines, namely the end of Iranian enrichment in Iran, have not changed. And the idea that President Trump would ever accept an Iranian wish list as a deal is completely absurd. The president will only make a deal that serves in the best interests of the United States of America. And he as a negotiating team will focus on this effort over the next 2 weeks, so long as the Strait of Hormuz remains open with no limitations or delays. These extraordinarily sensitive and complex negotiations will take place behind closed doors over the course of the next 2 weeks. I would strongly advise the media against running with narratives that have no basis in fact. What Iran says publicly or feeds to all of you in the press is much different than what they can.
I don't know. Y'all seen what we just looked at, right? Which I told y'all this earlier, it differed. So they just said that, but what the Iran parliament says is that it's been violated because of a ceasefire in Lebanon, which the United States is saying was not a part of it. There was a drone in Iranian airspace, which I don't know about. And then the U.S. denial of Iranians' right to enrich, which was the reason we were told they were going over there. So this sounds like it's not going anywhere positive. That's why I am uber short the market, long oil. That's my strategy. Iran had told mediators it will be limiting the number of ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz to about 12 a day and impose tolls under the ceasefire. This is a sharp reversal from last night's statements from President Trump. Today, just 4 ships have passed. I don't want this to sound like financial advice. Huh? Like, there's no way they're going to agree to this. Absolutely no way, guys. So, thank you to Blowfin, our stream sponsor. More importantly, thank you to y'all. If y'all happen to be looking for a new exchange, there's a QR code down below. Please, if you are going to sign up, please use my link. It does help me out a little bit. And lets them know Finance Freeman family is watching. And like I said, I get a kickback from that. And they are our stream sponsor. And so there's a QR code on the screen. Also, there's a pinned page on my X over here that has the link as well. And it talks about this promotion that there's only a few spots left, last I checked, that's running through April 15th. And also you can find it on my YouTube. Like I said, guys, I appreciate you all more than you know. Love spending these hours with y'all. And I've actually sacrificed a lot of my pre-recorded videos to do this. I just really like it. I really like it. I've got a full-time assistant that's able to help me with, you know, organizing this with ideas, with editing and stuff. So I'm pouring a lot of money back into the business and everything just to try to bring y'all the most honest and the best crypto, stock, finance, technical analysis and news that there is, right? If there's the only reason we're covering politics right now is because it's impacting our bags. When that's not impacting it and we're back to technicals, we're back to narratives, we're going to be all over that, right? But that's my goal, and I couldn't do it without every one of y'all. So thank you for joining the Finance Freeman family. If you're over on X, please click the follow button. Please retweet this live. You'd be surprised. Over double the amount of people that watch it live actually come back and watch it. And if you're over on YouTube, click the good old like button and click subscribe. It means more to me than you know. I love you all. We will see you tomorrow, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, with a special guest to talk about DePIN and artificial intelligence projects. See you tomorrow.